Hello. Thanks for having me here today. I'm going to be presenting a formative evaluation on creating mobile applications using Buzztouch. So, description of the course. There were 3 video tutorials that were used, teaching the basics of creating mobile applications using the Buzztouch open source platform. So step 1 was actually creating the mobile app structure itself. Step 2 was downloading the package. And step 3 was compiling the source code and launching the application. So I'm just going to show you a quick video, introducing 90 seconds, introducing Buzztouch. Actually, I already have it here, so here we go. Full screen.
Creating mobile apps requires a deep understanding of multiple technologies, programming languages, app stores, and devices. This makes it very difficult for an aspiring developer to get started making apps and totally takes the fun out of it. This problem is the inspiration behind Buzztouch. Buzztouch is web-based software that helps you create and manage iPhone, iPad, and Android apps without any previous experience. It does this by helping you organize complex ideas into easy-to-understand pieces. We call these plugins. The Buzztouch control panel helps you configure lots of different types of plugins to create screens, menus, and features necessary to create a high-quality professional app. When you're done assembling your application, the control panel prepares a downloadable package for you. You use the iOS or Android software developer kits to prepare this package for the App Store or the Android market. Once your application is in the market, you continue to use the web-based control panel to make changes, updates, and improvements to your app. Changes you make in the control panel are automatically updated in phones and devices that installed your app. You can access the Buzztouch control panel at buzztouch.com or on your own website. It's up to you. Additional plugins can be created or customized to further extend the functionality of the control panel and your applications. The Buzztouch plugin architecture allows for an unlimited amount of flexibility and creativity and helps an aspiring developers see their ideas come to life. We encourage you to get started and look forward to seeing your creations.
So this is a short 90-second video about what Buzztouch is about. There are many layers to the presentation. So back to the presentation. So for this particular formative evaluation, my target learner was an educator with an interest in developing mobile applications, or educators with an interest in understanding how mobile applications are developed. Personally, I've developed a few mobile applications, so this is why I targeted educators, as well as, well, you'll see why. The level of the learner I targeted was novice learners. Buzztouch is a platform that caters to all. However, it does pride itself and cater towards beginners, those who have no coding knowledge whatsoever to get started, which is why I thought it would be appropriate to look at the novice learner. What I did is I sent out a tweet on Twitter, because I follow quite a few educators and they follow me, and I said, it would be greatly appreciated if you could spare 15 to 20 minutes of your time for a graduate class assignment. And that's what I did. So the 3 objectives of Buzztouch itself, not necessarily the formative evaluation, we're going to get to that, were given the Buzztouch control panel, assemble the plugins to create the app structure, so screens and actions connected with the menus and buttons of the mobile application. Second objective of the second video tutorial would be to package and download your project for both Apple and Android. iOS is Apple. And finally, with your source code, which is in part of video tutorial number 3, compile your mobile application on a mobile device using Xcode, which is the program you use to compile iOS and Apple products, and Eclipse, which is used for Android. The formative evaluation objective was to assess the content, layout, applicability, and satisfaction related to the course. Specifically, we were looking at whether the content was engaging, appropriate to the learnings, and well explained. The layout, was it appropriate, professional, and visually appealing? Were the course learnings applicable? Were they able to use it? And satisfaction related to the course. And once again, we were looking at the novice learner. In terms of methodology, it was a mixed methods. It was quantitative and qualitative in nature. Mostly quantitative, but there were, as you'll see right over now, quantitative, there was a few questions with Likert scale from 1 to 5. 1 being strongly disagree, 5 being strongly agree. And the qualitative component was comments following each section. So the content section, the layout section, and the course satisfaction section. So there are a total of 15 questions, including some demographic questions and previous experience. So there were 4 questions on that: age, sex, and country, and previous experience with app development. Quantitative, 8 questions, Likert scale 1 to 5, and qualitative, as mentioned before, 3 of them following content, layout, and satisfaction. So, the threshold of intervention for this particular formative evaluation, before I started, I thought it would be 50%. So, in this case, I had 6 participants. So, if 3 of the 6 participants assigned the question a 3 or lower, which is average to disagree, to strongly disagree, I would consider that for modification as part of the particular area of the program for consideration. In terms of the timing, the formative evaluation was conducted after the course was completed, so after the viewing of the 3 video tutorials. 2 Google Forms were created and distributed. The first was just a general sign-up sheet. Once again, it was distributed via Twitter to make sure that it was done for 2 reasons in particular. 1, to make sure that I got the learners that I wanted committed to actually following up with the formative evaluation. I didn't want them to see the videos and be like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. I wanted them to feel committed to the program. And I also wanted to make sure that I got novice learners. So I'll show you quickly how the form looked like. So I was very casual. Hello everyone, I'm asking for 15 to 20 minutes of your time. I wanted them to do it prior to Friday, November 8th, just so I could have time to go through the data and whatnot. I made sure they knew what they were getting themselves into. 3 short YouTube videos, the times, so it's a total of 13 minutes and 43 seconds, and a short formative evaluation questionnaire. And I wanted to make sure that they were novice learners in the app development. So email and any questions. Okay, back to the presentation. And the second form was distributed via email based on the first Google form. So it included the steps to follow and the links to the videos. And I'll quickly show you the form over here. So we looked at the age group, sex, country, previous experience with app development. Those were the demographic questions. In terms of the quantitative questions, the course content is engaging, is appropriate, is clearly explained. This was followed by a comment section, the qualitative portion of that. Next was the layout, appropriate, professional, and was the instruction visually appealing. Once again, followed up by qualitative comments. And then last, I had, do you feel confident in the ability to apply what you learned? And the satisfaction of the course. And any other comments, questions, or recommendations based on the whole. So the results obtained. Quickly going through the demographics. Age group, most individuals, 4 of them were 35 to 44. We had 1 individual that was over 55 and 1 individual who was between 25 and 34 years old. We had 4 male, 2 female. All 6 of them, as I hoped, would have no previous experience with app development or very little, so novice learners. And interestingly, it wasn't planned, but this is how it turned out. 4 learners were from Canada and 2 from Spain. It just happened to work that way, and it wasn't a constraint, you know, it could have been worldwide. In terms of the content, the course content is engaging. Remember that I mentioned that 50% would be the threshold, getting under 3. So in this case, we only had 2, which is not 50%. The course content was, for the most part, fairly engaging. We had 2 individuals that thought they agreed with the comment. 2 strongly agreed. 1 individual thought it was just okay, and 1 individual thought that it could use some work. In terms of the course content being appropriate to what is being taught, once again, we had 2 individuals who thought it was just okay. So once again, we did not meet the threshold in that respect. But most agreed and strongly agreed that the course content was appropriate to what was being taught. And in terms of explanation, that was actually pretty convincing in terms of only one person disagreeing with the content being well explained. However, everyone else agreed or strongly agreed with the course content being clear of explanations. Some comments that I took out from the content. One individual thought that more details were needed when explaining Xcode and Eclipse, which were the application programs to compile iOS and Android. The terms are very new to this individual, so they needed to see the actual programs on the screen. Other than that, they found it was very clear, methodical. Another individual, once again, kind of echoed this statement by saying that if you don't have any experience in this, the jargon might lose you. But however, the clip duration was just okay to engage. Wasn't too long, didn't drag too much. And someone else really didn't even know that you could create an app without knowing code, which is true, and he felt he's a beginner. But it was encouraging. And another individual felt that everything was perfect and it was easy to follow. Moving on to the layout. The layout is appropriate. Most people agreed and strongly agreed, with one person feeling that it was just okay. Identical results for the layout being professional. Most people felt that Buzztouch, the videos, were rather professional in terms of the layout and the way it was laid out. And once again, look, in terms of visually appealing, we have the same bars. Most individuals thought that Buzztouch did a good job in terms of having a good layout that's appropriate, professional, and visually appealing. What's interesting is that I actually went through the individual data on the Excel sheet, and it wasn't the same person that put 4 all around and the same person that put 5 all around. These are actually different learners that put 4, 3 there, and 5 there. So it's not one learner that said 4, 4, 4. So it actually evened out. It was interesting. In terms of comments for the layout, this individual thought that the layout was pretty nice, not very descriptive, and he also went into the content a little bit because he also mentioned that he preferred the iOS version of the application as opposed to the Android version. One other individual felt that the layout was pretty perfect. The recording at the end of the video basically tells you what to expect for the next video, while the next video in the beginning briefly summarizes what was discussed in the previous video. And once again, I just want to point out that there were consistent results along all 3 measures. And we did not hit the 50% threshold at any point. We only had one individual who felt that it was just average. In terms of application and satisfaction, this is where we hit the 50% threshold. Many individuals did not feel confident in their ability to apply the course learnings. And perhaps that was kind of expected on my part. I kind of thought that that would be the case just because the videos are meant as an introduction. There aren't many application opportunities. So I kind of thought that they wouldn't be too confident to apply the course learnings. It's a basic introduction. There's more to learn. There's how-to guides available. So for the most part, people disagreed with the comment of being confident to apply the course learnings. Two individuals thought maybe, and one individual agreed with the statement of being confident. Good for them. Overall satisfaction, only one person was not satisfied with the course, disagreed with this comment. However, most agreed with the satisfaction. They were very satisfied with the course. One individual was super satisfied with the course. And here are some comments that I extracted from the application satisfaction. One individual thought that they would need a little more experience before applying the course learnings, which once again, I kind of expected personally. Once again, practice is echoed. We need more practice, but the individual was happy to know that they could start creating their own apps. Another individual must have been referenced from a colleague, because he said he or she watched the video to help a colleague out. Never thought about creating an app before this, but it's neat to see that it's relatively easy. Obviously, it's not the easiest thing to do, but they try to make it as easy as possible, Buzztouch. And off the top of this person's head, they couldn't really remember any of the steps per se, but they felt that they could follow along with the videos if they needed to. Recommendations. The course content was fairly engaging, but we almost hit the threshold, so it can be improved. Perhaps add interactive elements or whatnot to improve the course content. The layout is well done. It can be further strengthened, so perhaps we could have links to relevant how-to guides to reinforce the learnings of the videos, or we could even have, for example, annotations within the video to point to certain documents. In terms of confidence, that's where we hit the threshold where learners do not feel confident in their abilities to apply the course learnings. The experience can be enriched. Perhaps we could have practice sessions or more applicable scenarios in where they have to use what they learn. Because in this situation, they only watch the videos and they don't really apply it. So this was kind of expected. However, that being noted, these 3 videos that I showed were basic introductions, so they're not necessarily intended for application. They have more videos and more how-tos and more quizzes to help reinforce the learnings. Overall, novice learners feel that the content and layout of the course is very good, but of course there's room for improvement. However, for the most part, there was an agreement with the satisfaction of the course. Limits and challenges. Sample size, sample time. So in terms of sample size, 6 participants. It's still too small to generalize the findings, and sometimes it could be difficult to recruit participants for 15 to 20 minutes of their time. I sent out that tweet at least 3-4 times, so persistence. And in terms of sample type, all participants were novice learners. That's a limitation because we have no information from intermediate to expert learners as well as SMEs. So they could have provided different responses for the evaluation, especially SMEs regarding the course content. They would have been more adept at what's being taught. Continued limits and challenges, the formative evaluation type. It was largely quantitative in nature. There was opportunity for short qualitative responses. However, we might get more data if we were to have maybe an interview or focus group. And timing of the data, I mean, the course was not designed by me, so I couldn't have done it beforehand. The only possible way to evaluate the course was after it was taken. We could have also done in between after every video, but that didn't seem right after 3 minutes of video to have a formative evaluation for 3 questions and follow up with the next video, 3 questions. Would have been redundant. So in conclusion, a much larger and broader sample size is needed, but the introductory video tutorials from Buzztouch seem to be satisfactory for novice learners. So these were the 3 videos. As you can see, 3 minutes 40 seconds about creating the actual structure of the app, 3 minutes 18 seconds about downloading the package, and number 3 was the largest video, 6 minutes and 44 seconds, but it also involved one of the more difficult applications of actually downloading the package and compiling it with the appropriate program, Xcode or Eclipse for iOS and Android. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Of course, we have plenty of time for questions.